that we observe elsewhere in life by gender and by socioeconomic group and other as well. And that's concerning because this area of great opportunity is also one in which people may be left behind.
Hello! Good. How are you? It's so great to see you. Thank you so much for doing this. What do you think about all the celebs getting into crypto lately?
I think that I think was more last year.
So you think it's kind of a wave that passed?
No, I don't think so. But I think it's like any time that, frankly, it's when a lot of other people get into crypto, right? Other audiences too. It's when it's in the news a lot. And when does that happen? A lot of times when the prices are going up.
She was a federal prosecutor going after gangs and the mob before being handed her next assignment, taking down Bitcoin. Katie Haun soon realized this new technology was much more than a tool used by criminals. She dove deep and became a crypto convert, swapping her prosecutor hat for a board seat at Coinbase, and became the first female general partner at venture firm Andreessen Horowitz. Haun, now a prolific crypto investor, recently launched her own fund with $1.5 billion to deploy. It's the largest fund ever raised by a single investor. Joining me on this edition of Bloomberg Studio 1.0, CEO and founder of Haun Ventures, Katie Haun.
Katie, it's so great to have you.
Great to be back here in the studio with you, Emily.
I want to start with a vibe check.
Okay.
What state of the crypto cycle are we in right now? It was hot, and then it got pretty cold.
Well, look, Emily, zooming back, because I've been in crypto for a decade, if you can believe it. We've seen crypto be really hot and then all of a sudden not. And so we've seen this before. However, I think one of the things that's a little bit different now is with each new crypto cycle, more and more people come into it. And so it's more and more pronounced each cycle. And I would push back on it's not. I think it depends on what area of the ecosystem you're looking at. We think developers think crypto and Web3 is still really hot.
I am seeing a lot less of those, we're all going to make it hashtags.
I'm seeing a lot less of them too, although I am spending less time on Twitter, so maybe that's why as well. But with each cycle, there are new acronyms. What hasn't happened is a crypto winter in the midst of kind of really serious global macro conditions. So we have inflation kind of at record highs for our generation and in our lifetime. And then we have also a war that's broken out in the Ukraine. We have a number of other factors going on here. So that's very different.
There was some serious carnage out there.
Yeah.
Celsius, Luna, 3 Arrows. What's been your takeaways from all of that?
I don't want to sit here and tell you that algorithmic stablecoins are bad because I actually think they're really interesting. However, I think what happened is you had, in this case, you mentioned Luna and Terra. You know, that was an algorithmic stablecoin that was getting pretty widespread adoption relative to what the tech could do.
I didn't realize you spent your teenage years living in Egypt and
Yeah.
learning Arabic.
Yeah.
Tell me about your upbringing.
I was always uprooted. My dad worked for a large company and we were always moving just when I would get comfortable in one space. And I think actually that's pretty important. If you fast forward and look at my career, I'm comfortable being in uncomfortable situations. You know, didn't know a lot about venture when I got into it initially. I didn't know a lot about crypto when I got into it initially. And I was okay asking questions. I was okay not knowing the local acronyms or the nomenclature of a particular field. And I'm taken right back to my teenage years in Cairo, moving from Houston, Texas one day to downtown Mahdi in Cairo the next day.
You studied law.
I did.
You clerked for Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy.
That's right.
You became a federal prosecutor. You were taking on prison gangs
Yep.
and the mafia. That must have taken a really thick skin.
I was doing it at age 25. And now if I kind of take a step back, and I think that happens at different points in your career, like, whoa, if I would have analyzed that a little more at the time, and I'm kind of in some ways glad I didn't. I just dove right in because I found it fascinating. There was a human aspect to it and people's stories, and I felt like those stories mattered. So I was drawn to criminal law and became a federal prosecutor, and I did cases involving violent crime, but then really missed trying cases, being back in the courtroom, being before the grand jury, like the prosecutor you would see on TV, going to try those murder cases.
Doing those 2-hour closing arguments.
That's right. And so moved out here to California. I indicted the largest prison gang in the world at the time. Outlaw motorcycle gangs, hostage taking, bank robberies, armed bank robberies. There was really not a kind of criminal case by that point in my career I hadn't done. And it was right around that time, 2012, one of my bosses came in and said, let's have that same energy that you brought to those gang cases, to those murder cases, and let's go ahead and have you investigate this new criminal technology that we really need to look into and possibly shut this down.
So you created the first cryptocurrency task force. How would you describe it?
Fortunately, several of us in the government realized at the time it's not possible, also not desirable, because Bitcoin is not an entity, it's not a person, right? It's a protocol. And it would be like saying, let's go shut down cash, let's go shut down the internet. It's not possible, probably wouldn't be a good idea either. I was using crypto and technologies like the Bitcoin blockchain, because that's all that existed then.